Hello, this is Deanna Dwell from Heal in Motion PT, and you're watching my YouTube channel, the new series, Heal Yourself. When you have COVID confinement and you can't get out to a physical therapist and you have a few things you've been wanting to work on, this is your channel to go to. So here's my cute little graphic. Heal in Motion, Heal Yourself is our little series on YouTube video. And we talked about balance. We've talked about posture. We are moving on to gait. Gait, it is walking, okay? It's just a fancy way of saying walking. There are a few different phases of gait, and if you want to go through a 3-month class, I'm sure we could do it, but we have about 5 minutes. So we're going to break it down real quickly. You have a stance phase. Stance, meaning you stand up, right? Stance phase. You have a swing phase, okay? The swing phase is when that leg is swinging, okay? Push off. Push off. That requires a big toe, or at least the semblance of a big toe, to push off and propel you forward. And a heel strike. Now, sometimes what's confusing is that you have 2 feet moving at the same time, right? So when we talk about these phases, we're going to simply talk about one leg at a time, because one leg is going to be standing while the other leg is swinging, right? One leg is going to push off right before the other leg is heel striking. So we're going to talk about one leg only while you're doing this, okay? Break it down to those 4 phases and see what might be lacking in you, okay? There's other things like the arms, so it's not just feet. But let's start with stance, the stance phase of 1 foot. I'm hoping you can see pretty well here. So in my stance phase, and in the mirror you maybe can see a little bit more, I have 2 feet down, okay? I'm usually actually right in the middle where both feet are equally weight bearing, okay? So I took a step forward, I heel striked, and now I'm in stance phase, okay? In my back left foot, I'm going to now proceed to push off, okay? So in push off, you've got this one. Then it swings to swing phase, and it lands in heel strike, right? So this is my left foot, stance phase, push off, swing phase, heel strike, okay? Now in each of those phases, you can see there's a different configuration of my body, okay? So when I am in stance phase, usually my opposite arm to opposite leg is forward, okay? So if my right leg is forward, my left arm is forward, my other arm is back. You can see I have a stretch here in the front of this thigh, okay? All of these things are necessary. If you have a little bit of tightness here, you might not do it, right? You might be a little bit caught in this region and stop this stance phase being equal, okay? If you don't arm swing, you don't always have the movement in your torso, which is separate from your hips, okay? Because as 1 foot is back and 1 foot is forward, you can see how my hips want to rotate a little bit toward that side to make it easier. If I totally rotate toward that side, I would never be walking forward, okay? So letting your hips figure out how to stay forward, although your body may be rotating the opposite way, okay? This takes a little bit of work. Push off. Now push off, you have to have that first toe working for you, okay? You also need a full extension of your back knee, okay? If I have a bent knee the whole time, you can see how I've lost power. You can even try it. I always say try the wrong way first, so you know what the wrong way is, and you can figure out the right. To get a full push off, I need that back leg to be straight, which takes full knee extension, straightening of my knee, and I need the big toe to be working. If I have too much toe out, I wonder if you can see very well in the camera. If I have too much toe out, I'll be rolling toward the inner part of my foot, okay? I don't know if you can see that, right there. And you'll see a wear and tear on the shoe, and you probably have your quite a lot of blisters on, or whatever, calluses on that inside. That happens and the toe starts to veer a little bit more over and you lose the effectiveness of that push off. So again, I'm trying to make something very brief out of something that's quite complex, but these are just some things for you to analyze in yourself. Do you have big toe veering towards the outside, which would mean that it's not ready there to push off? Do you have calluses on that side, the inside of your foot? Do you turn your foot out instead of keeping it forward for push off? Okay? Heel strike. Oh, sorry, swing through. So when I have a swing through, I have to be able to weight bear on the other leg. Now, if this butt is not very strong, I might hip out, okay? This is called Trendelenburg. So when I weight bear on my right foot, because this butt is not strong enough to hold me like this, it drops, okay? And my hips drop. So if you've heard of Trendelenburg gait, it means that every time they step on that leg, their hip drops, right? This is not meant to be sexy. This is just that butt is not strong enough to hold my hips level. So one way is to practice holding your hips level, right? Standing on one foot, maybe in a doorway, somewhere where you can hang on, and get your hips level. Maybe even compensate a little bit. Lift this hip a little higher and really work that. Other exercises in my other videos are using a band and trying to build strength in that butt muscle. It's called glute medius, okay? So stance phase, you have to rely on the, swing phase, you have to rely on the other leg to hold you up, otherwise you drop. You also need to swing that leg forward. If I'm not clearing the floor, it's going to be difficult, right? So if I have lack of the ability to dorsiflex, that takes place in the anterior tibialis, you will have a struggle to clear the floor, and you might end up circumducting that leg, right? Circumduction happens because you either lack the hip flexion, right? The hip flexion, the knee flexion, and the dorsiflexion are all needed, not in this extreme, but you can kind of check yourself out and see, do I have all of those things, so that when I'm sliding through, I don't catch my foot on the floor. All right, so we went from stance phase, push off, swing phase. Now I'm going to heel strike. Okay, when I heel strike, I need to dorsiflex my foot so my heel lands first. All right, you also need to fully extend that leg. If it's always bent, it's difficult to get there. You're probably going to lunge forward a little bit. Okay, now running is different than walking. That's why this is called gait, not running. Okay, running, you might put the pressure on that initial phase there a little differently. But in walking, generally you want to have a heel strike. So practicing that, those stages can really help you figure out what is difficult in your body. So is it difficult for you to bear weight, for you to have hip extension here? Is it difficult for you to push off with that big toe? Is it difficult for you to weight bear on the opposite leg and keep your hips level? Okay? Is it difficult for you to heel strike? Go ahead and break these steps down, okay? And see what you've got going on for yourself. The last one is that hip and torso dissociation. So as you walk, ideally your opposite arm, opposite leg move, okay? Whether you're going forward or backwards, okay? And this is a little bit of hip motion separate from torso rotation, all right? So you can work on those sitting on the ball. I also have a YouTube ball video which can help you with that sort of dissociation of torso from hips. All right, that's a little bit on gait, stages, and how you can assess yourself and maybe work on a few things. Okay, I'll see you soon.